We find every year during the time of Chanukah that always the parshas of Yosef HaTzadik are always correlating to Chanukah. And of course the question is that we ask ourselves, what is the message of Yosef HaTzadik? I think as Rabbi Gordon was pointing out, what is the connection of Yosef HaTzadik to Chanukah? So I was thinking this past week that we find that the Gemara tells us that Yosef HaTzadik is Mechayev Es HaRashoyim. That Yosef was in the worst place that a person can be. He was away from his father, away from his family, away from his yeshiva, away from his home, away from all his chaverim. He finds himself all alone in Mitzrayim, and he is being seduced day and night by Eshes Potiphar. And at that final moment that he's about to succumb to the chet, to the sin, and give in to the Yetzer Hara, suddenly he stopped. And Rashi, quoting the Gemara and the Midrash, says, what is it that stopped Yosef HaTzadik from indulging in a pleasure that, like Rabbi Gordon said, who would know? Nobody would know. What is it that stopped him from doing such a thing? So Rashi writes that Yosef saw diyuknu da'aviv. He saw the image of his father as almost the finger of Yaakov Avinu wagging towards him and saying, Yosef, don't forget who you are. You're my son. You're the grandson of Yitzchak, the great-grandson of Avraham Avinu. Don't go ahead and do this terrible sin. But if you look in the Midrash, the Yafas Tayar writes over there that at the last minute before he was about to succumb to the sin, he turned his head to the side and he looked towards the window. And the window had glass. And as he looked at the glass, he saw his reflection. And Rashi says in the very beginning of the Parsha, the Yukna de Yosef, that the face of Yosef was the Yukna de Yaakov. He looked exactly like his father Yaakov Avinu. And when he looked at that glass and he saw the face of himself, he didn't just see himself. He saw that he is the connection and the hemshech and the chain that existed between him and his father Yaakov, and Yaakov go back to Yitzchak, and Yitzchak to an Avraham Avinu. And he reminded himself who he really is. He's really a Tselem Elokim. He's really a Jew that is in the godly image. And he's not going to give in to a fleeting desire and a fancy that is here in this world, because it's not about this world. It's really about the connection and the world to come. And therefore he held himself back and he stopped. In the story of Chanukah, we find a very similar thing. The Yevonim, they came to darken the eyes of Klal Yisrael. We find that the Midrash says that Klal Yisrael, that Yavon, their whole mission was v'chash v'chashecha, like it says in the beginning of the Torah, chashecha, darkness, zu Yavon shecheshicha eseinayim, that they came to darken the eyes of Klal Yisrael. And the Nesiv Shalom points out the following idea. There's three main gezeres, there's three main decrees that we find that the Yevonim brought upon Klal Yisrael, that we always think these are the big three. One was they didn't allow us to keep Shabbos. Shabbos is the defining mitzvah of a Jew. Shomer Shabbos, you know the man is a frum Jew. They didn't let us do Bris Milah. Bris Milah is how we're Mekadesh, we sanctify our bodies. And Rosh Chodesh is how we sanctify the time. Everything goes based on the beginning of the month, the holidays and the Yom Tov and everything and so on and so forth. But there was a fourth one that they came up with. And this, says in the Nesiv Shalom, was the worst of all the gezeros. Because they made them write, as it says over there, Kisva al keren ashur. You have to write on the horn of an ox, Ein lechem chelik le'elokei be'elokei Yisrael. You do not have a portion in the God of Yisrael. And the message that they were giving over was the following. That you think that every mitzvah that you do, and you think that every act of Kedusha, every act of Chesed, every word of Torah that you learn, you think it's a big deal. Yavon came along to tell us that whatever you do, Ein lechem chelik be'elokei Yisrael, you have no connection, you have no portion, you have no connection to the Ribbono Shel Olam. It doesn't matter what you do down here in this world. It doesn't matter if there's a Yid in Los Angeles, California, whose alarm goes off at 6:15 in the morning and he schleps himself out of bed and he goes to the minyan and he falls asleep right after he puts on his tefillin. You're not supposed to sleep in tefillin. You're not supposed to sleep during davening. So you think, what's the big deal? You might as well stay in bed. Don't go to shul. No, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every little thing that a Jew does gives them a chelik, gives them a portion in Elokei Yisrael with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every mitzvah, every word of Torah, every chesed that we do, every time we control our Yetzer Hara, every time we keep our mouths shut from saying Lashon Hara, everything that we're involved with gives us a deeper and a more meaningful connection to the Ribbono Shel Olam. Yavan wanted to make our lives a life that says you have no real connection. It doesn't matter what you do down here in this world. And once that a Jew feels disconnected from the Ribbono Shel Olam, everything is downhill at that point. The moment that I don't wake up in the morning and feel I have a reason to go to davening, I have a reason to go to my daf yomi shir, I have a reason to be nice to my wife, I have a reason to be mechalech my children in the way of Torah and mitzvahs, I have a reason to do chesed and drive somebody out of my way. The moment that a person begins to feel that it doesn't matter, there's no connection to Hashem, everything is out the window. Says the Nesiv Shalom, the Horowitz and others, before they would make the brach in the morning of Shalaya Sani Goy, the person making a Baruch Ato Hashem, I am happy, HaKadosh Baruch, I'm blessing you that I wasn't created as a non-Jew. The Horowitz used to check himself up and down, from top to bottom, not look in the mirror and see his clothing. Was he wearing goyish clothing? That's not what he was worried about. The Horowitz was worried about, is my essence, is who I am I really a Jew? Am I really following in the footsteps of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Am I really doing what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do? And when the Horowitz would only after several minutes determine that he had gotten rid of whatever goyishkeit he had inside of him, then he would make the bracha b'simcha, Baruch Ato Hashem, I thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with great blessings. Shaloi asani goy, you didn't make me a non-Jew, you made me part of your nation. Because yesh chelik be'elokei Yisrael. Every single Jew, no matter where they're coming from, no matter what their background, no matter how much they know or they don't know, every single Jew has a chelik, has a portion in the Ribbono Shel Olam. And Yavan came to remove that. And Klal Yisrael's mission during the time of Chanukah is to remind ourselves how valuable and how precious it is to be a Jew. Just like Yosef looked in the mirror and he saw his reflection and it reminded him where he comes from, so too Chanukah is the time, you don't have to look into the mirror, but we can evaluate our lives. And we can ask ourselves, do we truly appreciate what it means to have a chelik, to have a portion in Torah, a portion in mitzvahs, a portion in tzedakah, a portion in chesed, a portion in davening? Do we appreciate that? Because each and every one of us in our very own special way has our chelik, has our great treasure in the chelik, in the portion of the Ribbono Shel Olam. And I'll just leave you with this last ma'isa. I think it was the Brisker Rav, who on the morning after the elections in America for the President of the United States, it was right before davening began, and the Brisker Rav was known to take his davening very seriously. He wasn't a schmoozer, he didn't go around looking for a cup of coffee before davening. He got straight to the business. But he went over to some of the American Bachrim that were in Brisk, and he said to them, tell me who won last night, who's the new President of the United States? So they were very surprised. The Brisker Rav was asking, who's the President of the United States? And they asked around, they found out, and they told them who it was. So then they asked the Rebbe, why do you care who's the President of the United States? Before davening, he says, I want to know who the most chashiv non-Jew is in the entire world right now. So when I make the bracha of Shaloi Asani Goy, I'll be able to say, no matter how great and how powerful and how mighty he is, I'm a Jew, I'm infinitely greater than all of that. Chanukah is the time to appreciate the infinite greatness that resides in all of our neshamas. We should be Zeichem Yetz Hashem to appreciate ourselves, to appreciate the Ribbono Shel Olam, to see the gift of Torah that He's given us, and continue to be the Chashmonoim that will fight the battles against the enemies and continue to cling to the ways of Hashem and His Torah. Thank you.
It's a great article put up by Nafi. Rabbi Horowitz, someone submitted a question from Cleveland. They said, when I was a kid, I never received gifts on Hanukkah, but there now seems to be pressure to give gifts to one's family members during Hanukkah. So I think this also might relate to also, well, like, are picture. Let me go put it on my WhatsApp status or whatever. It's like there's these certain peer pressures and this certain that we're getting removed from the actual essence, and we're getting that peer pressure. So maybe Horowitz, if you could advise over here about these pressures, about giving gifts, and what would you advise over here?
Is there something wrong with giving gifts? Is there something wrong with giving gifts? Meaning, we find already in the Poskim back to the Magen Avraham that he speaks about the idea that on Chanukah there was gelt that was given. Chanukah gelt was given originally to the poor children of town who didn't have parents to take care of them, who didn't have the money that they needed to be able to clothe themselves and feed themselves and give themselves what was needed. Then it extended to the Torah scholars that we should give them extra money during this time. They're so busy learning Torah, which is what the fight of Yavin was against us, was that they wanted to remove the Torah from Klal Yisrael. So we ended up giving to them to show our great support for all of the valiancy that they have in their learning. And then it transferred as the generations moved along. It transferred to, as we light the menorah, many families have the custom where they will give a gift, whether it's once throughout the time, whether it's every single night, they give little gifts, whatever it might be, they give to their children, that their children should also enjoy the happiness and the simcha of Chanukah. The goal in all mitzvahs, especially in our generation, is we want it to be a geschmack, and we want it to be a pleasure and enjoyment, and we want our kids to be able to appreciate the beauty of the mitzvahs that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us. If a kid has everybody else in his class is coming home, coming to school every day saying they got this gift last night and that gift last night, but we're very frum, so we don't give gifts in our family, so then our house becomes the dark house that it's no happiness over there, there's no light over there, everything is halacha, 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 without the pleasure of a child being able to be a kid. So if the trend where you are living is that people are receiving gifts, and it's the family, it's the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the neighbors on the block, and the kids are getting these kind of things, what's so terrible if a parent gives over to their child on the night of Chanukah to add to the simcha, to add to the joy, to add to the happiness that is going on there? They give them a gift to show to the children, I love you, I love being Jewish, and you should love being Jewish also, because look at all the gifts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu rains down on top of us. You're right, the one is asking the question, to feel peer pressure, to feel that you have no choice, to feel that this kid's getting a new bike one night and a Nintendo Switch the next night, and he's going on an all-expensive trip to Hawaii for winter break, that he got the tickets on Hanukkah. Yeah, that's a problem already. You shouldn't feel the pressure that you have to keep up with the Schwartzes and the Rosenbaums and the Rosenbergs every single night of Hanukkah. But to be a parent who shows their love to their children, to show how beautiful Yiddishkeit is, to show how wonderful it is to have Hanukkah and to celebrate the Yom Tov together, to bring more simcha into the house, what's so terrible? What is so terrible? It's actually, like the Rambam writes, that the mitzvah of Yom Tov is to be mesamech leiv, is to help the broken-hearted people to rejoice in their hearts. Which person in the world today is not a little bit of a weakened, broken heart? Everybody needs a little bit of chizuk. Everybody needs a little bit of a boost. And so when a kid especially gets a gift from their parents, and they see that even the parents actually thought about what they're getting the kid, something the child would like, not just a toy that everybody else is getting, but something that this particular child will like. So it makes a connection, it creates a connection, it elevates the relationship between a parent and a child. Maybe you have a cousin, maybe you have an aunt, you have an uncle, you have a grandparent, you have a parent who also would appreciate the recognition on Hanukkah that you can give them a gift. If there's more achdus and Klal Yisrael, which is what Yavin tried to make appear to take us apart, what would be such a terrible thing if Jews were happier and they had more achdus on Hanukkah? It would be a beautiful thing, and we'd be much happier, and a little gift here and a little gift there will make the Jewish people a better people.